Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Symphony. Symphony Entertainment, Gaming, and Arts is my gaming company that focuses on horror systems, indie games, organic content, and player agency in an attempt to bring a symphonic approach to horror role playing. I am your host and your storyteller for the evening, and we are back with Sanguine Arch, Symphony's very first Vampire the Masquerade campaign that takes place in modern nights in Columbus, Ohio. Something to note, for this campaign, we have chosen to use the Mind's Eye Theater Vampire the Masquerade Laws of the Night rules published by Night Studios. So, these are not tabletop role-playing rules. These are the actual live-action role-playing rules. We will be using the LARP rules. We will be throwing chops literally live on screen to handle our mechanic resolutions, adjudications, and things of that nature. Now, as I mentioned before, Symphony's community and storytelling platform leans towards high immersion, low combat, tragic risk, and symphonic collaborative storytelling. So these simplified LARP rules kind of give us the mechanical support and freedom that we prefer in order for us to tell the stories that we particularly enjoy. So as of right now, we're one recording in. You guys are going to see the second one. And right now, I don't have any regrets about this choice, guys. So we're going to continue with it, and we're going to enjoy it. Tonight, we are going to be introducing Conor Rowe. He is the second of our four kindred in our upcoming story. We only have one announcement for tonight, guys. Symphony Entertainment does have a Patreon. So if you like this content and you would like to help us make more of it, please consider backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. Some sexy things are rolling out for this arch on Patreon, guys. So our Patreon is going to be offering a lot of different things. One, backers at a certain tier or higher are going to be invited to come on as special guests or as NPCs. So if you would like to be streaming in this arch, this is a good time to become a backer. Other backers are getting the opportunity to rewrite stories, issue plots, or offer banes and boons to our PCs. Now, I'm calling them banes or boons, but our production staff is calling them, I think, hurt me daddies and yes daddies, something to that nature. But more information will be coming out on Patreon. But these are going to be opportunities. I know, Doc. You blame
Symphony.
Bucho for that one.
Oh, I do. I do.
Symphony. To be honest with you, that one might have been Carl. So lots of amazing things to include backer-only episodes. One of our characters have committed to doing diary entries that are going directly to Patreon backers, merch, and more. So again, if you're enjoying this content and you want to get more engaged with our kindred in Columbus, Ohio, this is a great time to become a backer at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. Whew. Red lines have been discussed with the cast and crew. The X card is in play. X's can be sent via private message or visibly where we can see it. We will also be using a standard red, yellow, green traffic light method. If a safety tool is activated, no judgment is passed, no questions are asked. With that being said, let us unveil this cast. Cast members, please introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are, where people can find you, and some of the things that you do. And we are going to start with Doc.
Hi, everybody. I am Matt Doc Tracey. As we saw last week, Chaosium Con, there are more of us that go by the name Doc than you would imagine. So the running joke is that I became just Doc. I write for Call of Cthulhu. I have a whole bunch of scenarios on Drive Through RPG. One of them just did hit Electrum, and one of them is closing in on it.
Hey!
Depending on when this launches, you could single-handedly help Cuppy Cup win a bet that my very first scenario will not hit print on demand by the end of the month.
Oh, God, Cup.
It is 20 short right now, and there is a special sale, so hit me up on Discord, and I will send you a link to buy for only 50 cents. The bet being that if it does hit print on demand, I will personally buy Masks of Nyarlathotep.
Oh.
And then run it for him.
Oh, Jesus, that's a hell of a bet. You're getting set up bad on that one, babe.
You know what? Oh, no, hurt me. Another thing when print on demand, right?
Right.
Please check those out on Drive Through RPG. If you like them, leave a review. If you didn't like them, forget you ever saw them. You can find me on various Discords, Symphony Discord mainly. I pop around in there, How We Roll, Good Friends Jackson. So you name it. If it's related to horror gaming at all, there's a very high chance I'll be there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And oh my God, Ryan, welcome to the Symphony. This is your very first time streaming with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Babe, please tell us who you are, where people can find you if you want to be found, and some of the things you do.
Thanks for having me, Bridgett. I'm Ryan Dickerson. I've been playing Vampire the Masquerade in various incarnations for 20 years now. I don't have an online presence. I'm a mystery. Find me if you dare. And I'm excited to get going.
Find me if you dare. That
That's
sounds absolutely
terrifying.
amazing. That's so good. Especially for that particular NPC. That is so good. Okay, guys. We are hopping in with episode 2. Well, I should say prelude 2 for Conor for Sanguine Arch. Chronicle tenets for Columbus, Ohio. Never endanger or betray the domain. Our community is stronger together. Number 2, unapologetically defend the traditions. They keep us safe. Number 3, ambition is rewarded. Liabilities are destroyed. Conor, we are going to start with you.
All right.
It is 8:42 p.m. The sun has set. You are in your office, your primary place where you conduct business. Please remind us, what city is it that you are currently building this? It was a heroin empire, was it not? Is it not?
It was indeed a heroin empire, yes.
What city is this?
We're going to go with New York.
Okay, so this is New York. What time of year is this, Doc, in New York?
It's early fall. The leaves are just starting to turn. You can hear a light wind rustling through the trees of Central Park. People starting to pull their coats just a little bit closer.
Stunning. Fall in New York has a very distinct odor that comes with it. That
Oh, it
mix
does.
of, well, an odor that you can only get in New York City, really, combined with something that reminds you of death and renewal simultaneously. As I said, it's 8:42. You're in your office. You have watched the sunset. Ryan, tee us up with a environmental setup. What does Conor's office look like? Is this a home office out of his penthouse? Is this a warehouse on a dock district? Like, just give us an idea of what Conor's office looks like, his headquarters.
It's a little cramped. It's a bit lived in. It's clearly reached the point where he needs to have a larger space, but hasn't quite gotten it yet. Papers are stacked up, various bits of bureaucracy, people he needs to contact, people that need paid. Not a lot of personal effects.
That tracks well for this character. Perfect. Doc, as the camera zooms in on this space that you've outgrown, you've been outgrowing a lot of spaces recently with the momentum that you're picking up with this particular entrepreneurial endeavor. You already have something newer, something shinier, something more garish lined up. You can afford that now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not the ceiling of the things that you're going to soon be able to afford with the momentum that you're picking up. As the camera pans into this space that is already in your rear view, the only thing that's waiting is for you to take a step out. What do we see? What does Conor look like? What is Conor doing?
Conor is a tall gentleman. He has jet black hair. It's always tied back into a bit of a man bun. Very neatly kept together, always wearing a suit, because he knows that if he dresses well, people will respect him for who he is and not just what he does. And what you see him sitting at his desk. He's looking at a stack of papers, because you can't just simply sell heroin on the streets. You have to have a front for it. You have to have a way to cover your tracks a bit. And he's going through the take of his legitimate business endeavors, selling a few things out of a side store. Has a few people going around and selling knockoff purses on the streets rolled up in blankets. And he sits there with a single cigarette between his fingers, ignoring the 7 of them that are still smoldering in the ashtray. And as he takes just a big drag, he thinks to himself, this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning. That was a great description, by the way, Doc. This is just the beginning. Cigarettes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are slowly burning in the ashtray. You have the 7th in your hand, I believe it was, and you're looking over various paperworks. And you may or may not hear the padding of bare feet on the floor directly in the hallway outside of your office, and it's 8:42. Your daughter shouldn't be with you. Where her mother is at that moment, at this moment, is neither here nor there. But you can hear those feet, those flap, flap, flaps running down the hallway. You can hear the sound of a small child's giggle. I'm curious for you, Conor, when you hear your child approaching, what emotions do you immediately feel? Is this delight? Is this adoration? Is this annoyance? Is it frustration? Or do you even acknowledge that that thing is in this building at all?
It's a bit of both.
Hmm.
Uh, I care about my daughter dearly. I want to give her the best life that I can, but I also want her to understand that when I am in my office, when daddy's in his office, he's working.
Hmm.
He's not there to play with you. He's not there to tuck you into bed. I am there to make sure that I can give her that life. And there is a moment, like a brief smile crosses his lips as he thinks about his daughter Isabel.
Isabel, okay.
Yep. And as she comes running up, the smile does fade a bit as she gets closer because he knows that for a brief minute he's gonna have to be the bad guy. I'm gonna have to tell Isabel, no, no, dear, it's time to go back to bed. Daddy's working. It's past your bedtime.
You can feel that coming down the pipeline. You know how this exchange is going to go.
Always.
And the age of 7, Isabel turns this corner. And I'm just curious really fast, Ryan, what does 6-year-old Isabel look like? What is she wearing right now? The only thing I've established right now is that she's not wearing any shoes or socks. You can hear the padding of bare feet on this floor. But what does little Isabel look like at 6, 7 years old?
Uh, no shoes, no socks. It's past her bedtime, but she still has on the sundress that
Mm.
she was wearing to school. Uh, Hair's tied back, but it's still a mop. It definitely needs to be brushed before she gets properly to bed.
Perfect. Isabel breaches your field of vision here, Conor. Um, that mop of just dark straight hair is already spilling out of this bun that is tied nowhere near as meticulously as clean as yours. It needs to be brushed before bed, but you don't have time to do that. You're building her future by taking the future of others, but you're still building a future for you and for her and your wife. And she stops, and Isabel has always had a very dark intensity about her eyes. Those brown eyes almost look too close to black. They've always been very unapologetic, even as a baby, nursing her or bottling her, looking down to your arms. Just the way that she stared back to you was always just so hyper focused and intense. And even with the smile that spread across her face, there's something about those eyes that just lock on to you. She's absolutely your child. And she
She's
breaches
very
the
much my
doorway.
daughter.
She's very much your baby. She breaches the doorway and she goes, Daddy, Mr. Prim is back.
Now, honey, what do we say when Mr. Prim comes here? You go to your room. Make sure mommy brushes your hair before you go to bed. And I'll run my fingers through her hair a little bit. Now, honey, you know you have to brush this before you go to bed. And why aren't you in your pajamas? Let Daddy talk to Mr. Prim. You run along and make sure mommy brushes your hair, okay?
Mommy isn't here, Daddy. Mommy left a couple days ago. Did you know that?
And you see a flash across
Connor?
Connor's face that he knew that and he's been ignoring it. He's been putting it out the back of it. That's right. And I will put out the cigarette because I do not want to smoke in front. I'm making sure I'm not smoking in front of her. Nasty habit. Sorry, I've been so busy with work and it slipped my mind. Here, and I'll scoop her up into my arms.
There's a resistance when you scoop her up into your arms. And resistance may not be the word, but there's certainly an
Hesitancy.
unfamiliarity, a hesitance as you pick her up. And now you're almost, 6 inches nose to nose with the intensity of the 7-year-old child.
And I'll give her that little bounce on my arm as best I can. I
The
said to her,
rest of
now,
her
now,
hair spills out of what was left of that ponytail holder holding it together.
oh, honey, you're right. I'm sorry. Daddy's been working too much. But I'll give her a little boop on the. I'm doing it for you. I'll always take care of you, no matter
That
what.
that's stunning. You boop her on the nose,
Hmm.
and that always gets her. That's a surefire way to cut through whatever stubbornness that she's presenting for you. You boop her on the nose, and she sniffs and she smiles, and she's getting ready to say something adoring, and her eyes float over your right shoulder and onto that television monitor
Hmm.
that is mounted in the corner of this office that is soon to be forgotten. And there is a news anchor discussing something. The subtitles are running across the bottom of the screen, and your picture is there. And they're discussing some news that's been going on for the last couple of days. This is one of the reasons why you're so busy. But
Hmm.
your name has hit at least the media airways, and you have been facing some accusations in the media. And you know the moment that Isabel looks at that computer screen and looks back at you, that she's heard what they've been saying about you. And she just looks to you. And Conor, it's not accusatory. It's not even disappointment. It's almost like she just wants you to say anything.
I'll look her in the eye and seeing the TV screen just past her, I can't hide it on my face that there is that flash of something has to happen and I need to make sure she's going to be safe. I try to hide it as best I can from her, but I can see in those intense eyes she knows. She knows that something isn't right. And if Mr. Prim is here, then she definitely knows something very much isn't right.
And what is Mr. Prim at this point? That's what, her imaginary friend, somebody that visits her from the shadows. It's it's a figment of her imagination that you've noticed that typically rises when she's under high stress. So you're right. Mr. Prim is here. She's been watching the media. Mom's been gone for 2 days.
Yep.
She's handling it the best that she can. She's 7.
She's doing all she can. I mean, she's a 7 years old. She's relying on this. She's talking to this imaginary friend. And I said to her, "Well, honey, and I'm trying to hide that face from the news. If you want to go, if we need to go talk to Mr. Prim, can Daddy come with you this time?" I'll give it a little shake again. Come on, let's go talk to him together. And even though I'm sounding optimistic in my voice, there's that undercurrent of just concern because Mr. Prim showed up when Mommy left, and I can't get out of my head that this is her coping mechanism, and I'm afraid this Mr. Prim character is going to be around for the rest of my life, trying to help her get through this trauma.
Kids, right? They
Kids.
metabolize the best that they can. She looks to you, and her eyes flicker back to the monitor, and that intense gaze settles on you. Is it true what they're saying?
Honey, you know that Daddy would never do something like that. And there is a flatness in the way that I'm saying that of you're a child, you don't understand, while simultaneously trying to talk her out of like treating it as if it's I'm being honest with her, but also there's that just hint of an undercurrent of don't ask Daddy his business.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that I work in marketing, dear. I sell things for people. That's clearly you know how the news is these days. They're just trying to sell a newspaper as if I'm explaining journalism to a 7 year old as best I can.
Yeah.
They're just telling stories, honey. It's stories. Come on, let's get you ready for bed.
Connor, her hand lifts off of your shoulder that she's using to help
Mhm.
balance herself, and she pulls just a snippet of that black hair out of your bun And it pulls off. You can feel the release. And she curls it around her finger. She looks at it, and then she allows those coils to slip off her finger. And there's something in you that knows in this moment that you have made an irrevocable step away from your child. And it's a haunting moment when you realize that you've been read through and identified as a liar by a 7-year-old. She smiles. It's a
As that
hollow
falls, he just
smile.
sighs.
I need
Can't
to go
even
brush
hide
my
it from
hair.
her.
You can't. Not her. She's your child. Of course you can't.
She knows me too well.
I need to go brush my hair and brush my teeth. And she begins to untangle herself from your arms. And you may be at a moment where you're thinking, what's the next best play in this moment? How can you reduce that distance that she's created between you? But your cell phone rings. And you know that's a call that you need to take.
I'll watch her go down the hallway toward her room in the bathroom. I'll take that half step as if I'm about to ignore that call. And then you just see that hand just... I'll tuck the lock of hair back and I'll pull out my phone and answer.
It is an important phone call.
It is.
Isabel in this bathroom hoists herself up onto the bathroom sink. Her feet dangle. And just there behind the door is you, Mr. Prim. Mr. Prim, what do you look like? What would the camera see when it pans on?
Severe face, a large aquiline nose, possibly Italian, long hair pulled back into a very tightly controlled ponytail, wearing a dark suit, piercing gaze, unsettling to meet his eyes directly. And as the door to the bathroom closes, he just leans in. I told you he would lie to you, didn't I?
Most adults have a problem meeting eyes with you, Mr. Prim. The 7-year-old is impressive, but even at her level of confidence, she can't make direct eye contact with you. Her gaze is just short. And she nods. You're all right? He did lie to me?
Don't worry, Isabel. Everything is going to be fine.
Is it true what they're saying on the news about him?
Every word.
Are they going to take me away?
Well, that depends on the decisions your father makes, who he decides to lie to.
Her hands come into her lap, and you can see her fingers interlace, and she's turning them back and forth. She's intimidated. She's curious. And you're the first adult in a long time that's not lying to her, or that at least isn't treating her like she's 7. And there's something for a child that's very drawn to that, especially when so much is out of her control in her surrounding area. Can I ask you a question, Mr. Prim?
By all means, Isabel.
And you're met for just a brief moment with intensity on intensity. Did you kill my mom?
No. No, that would be waste.
Holy shit, that was so chilling, Ryan. Fuck me.
Damn.
God damn.
I can see Carl trimming that in the edit for like the reaction, but god damn.
God, fuck Carl, leave it in. Whew. The gaze lowers. She nods in agreement to an understanding that is far above her comprehension. I have to brush my hair and brush my teeth before bed.
Here, let me help you.
Keep
And
narrative.
Mr. Prim grabs the brush and begins very expertly, very painlessly detangling the hair, combing it out, getting her ready for bed.
And I think that is a perfect point to go on to our next scene. Table, we okay?
Good here.
Oh. I have ideas of things that I want to use with this now. R2 Bridgett was right.
I told you he was strong, baby. I told you he was good. Fuck
Because
me.
in my mind, I'm just like, you just put your hands on my baby girl.
He's literally brushing your child's hair in the bathroom, honey. What a closed door.
Oh,
You have a phone call you got to get
I
to.
do have a phone call. Yes. No, just to confirm, this would be like an office phone, correct? Not a cell phone?
Woo! I don't know. What is this, the 90s for you?
Yeah, 90s-ish. I mean, cell phones hit or miss.
Cinema. And you know what? You're an upcoming drug dealer. Let's give you a cell phone. I don't care. What they gonna do? Argue with me? They gonna argue with me in the comment section?
little Nokia brick pops out.
Whew, holy shit, Ryan. God damn. Wow, that was intense. That was child endangerment to the point that was so uncomfortable. Nothing actually happened to that child. It's all the threat that loomed. Well done. Well done. Well done.
I
well
need
done.
the cigarette after that. Damn, I don't even smoke.
It's the implication.
It's the implication.
The child's
also the
perfectly
voice.
safe. I've never harmed the child.
It's the voice you have for
voice makes it worse.
Mr. Prim too.
The voice is
the voice
terrifying.
just takes it up a notch because it wasn't threatening, but yet there was
But
a
it's
clear
visceral.
threat underneath it.
Yes. Also, you called her mom waste, or said that would be a waste.
Yeah, that would
Like,
be a waste.
Yeah.
Fuck me. That's amazing. Okay. Beautiful.
Let's go.
Right.
This is good shit.
Doc, I told you it was gonna be brilliant.
You were not kidding.
Strong table.
As
make the world
advertised,
go round.
Arthur. As advertised.
All right, beautiful people. We're gonna keep this party moving.
Let's go.
I need to just move. Conor, you are in the back of a vehicle being driven towards the warehouse district. There's a certain scent and a certain sound that comes off of the Hudson that even when it's not in view between passing buildings or passing, small little pockets of trees, you can still sense that you're approaching it or that it's near. It has that effect about it, that lure. And you know that you're on your way to a warehouse where you've been summoned. One of your guys, Marcus, called you. Marcus doesn't rattle easily. He was an acquisition from a rival, let's just say a competitor that you exterminated. But you're good at pinning value when you see it. And what did I just name this guy? Marcus?
Marcus.
Yeah, that's what I named him. That's so good. But Marcus is one of the more steady ones. And when you heard Marcus's voice, you heard how unsteadied he really was. He didn't go into details. It's almost as if he refused to go into details or couldn't. But one thing was very clear. He gave you the address, one of your more recent acquisitions. And he told you, you just need to get here.
Yep.
And you're on your way.
As soon as he says that, I would hang up and I wouldn't even, as I'm leaving, I'm assuming I'm leaving right from the previous scene.
No. We can call this one. This is a roll forward for probably maybe a couple weeks later.
Okay. So as I'm leaving, I'm just gonna shout to Isabel, Daddy'll be right back. I have to take care of something for work. As I'm just out the door, and even before when there was that half step towards her to take the phone call.
Yeah.
Conor is locked in. There is no hesitation. He's just out the door.
Okay. You're out the door. As you step into the rear of your vehicle and you're escorted out, Isabel didn't respond to you, but you can see that blue, warm glow from her bedroom window. She should be asleep at this time of night. Maybe she is. You don't know. You didn't actually go look at her before you left, but chances are she's watching cartoons or, God forbid, she may be watching the news. Things are escalating in the media. But now you are stepping onto broken pavement, sad sidewalks that need to be replaced and refinished. That autumn breeze is still on the air, along with the alluring stench that is New York. And you move down a path towards this single warehouse. Again, your newest acquisition, and another stench hits you versus or on top of the the scent of the water, and it's vomit, and it appears to be several piles of it. It looks like from different sources, given like what you're seeing described or what I'm describing, and like the chunks of what you're seeing, you're looking at different meals, different mixes of alcohol, condiments, and it looks like whatever has happened just on the inside of this shut door that Marcus is standing in front of. Several members of your crew is here. There's something vacant in so many of their expressions. And Marcus moves towards you. And just really curious, Ryan, what does Marcus look like?
Marcus is a thin, wiry guy. He's got hair he cuts as short as possible. He's got the look of a guy who's been in a number of knife fights and is fully prepared to get into another one if anybody says the wrong thing.
Noted. So I love the idea of him having some type of deep scar across his face, probably his cheek. That feels good to me, almost like from lip back to his ear. Yep, exactly where Doc went. That feels authentic to me for Marcus. Yeah. Marcus approaches and he pulls this puff jacket, a little heavier over his shoulders, and pulls it in, and he looks directly at you, Conor. I don't know who could have done this.
Marcus, what the fuck is going on?
And he just shakes his head and is like, I don't know how to describe it, boss.
I trust you to handle this shit. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know how to handle this particular shit, boss.
I'm going to smack him across the face.
Bam. Contact.
I told you to handle this. You don't know how to handle this? I'll find somebody else. Get the fuck out of my way. And I'll push past him.
You push back him. He backpedals. His Timberlands crush into somebody's vomit. And he adjusts his jaw, and his eyes are low as they sweep towards your rear. And then his eyes turn as something coming down this pier catches his attention. You don't see whatever catches his attention because you swing the door open and you see what, Ryan?
I think the first thing that hits is it's a pretty dry autumn day, autumn night. When Conor swings the door open, he's hit with just an initial wave of humidity.
Oof.
Which is unusual. Like you don't have AC running in these things, but there should be some airflow. And you can hear a dripping. And you go to turn the lights on, fluorescent lights begin to click on over the warehouse, and you see that there are people. Most of your crew that were here are dead. Obviously, how could they be alive? There's so much blood and pieces everywhere. A number of them are hanging from the rafters of the warehouse. You don't see any means by which this could have been done. There's no weapons. There's no murder weapon. No obvious enemy here, and there's no enemies. No fallen adversaries that were taken out alongside your crew.
Wow.
Do I see anything that looks out of place with my product? A crew is replaceable. The product is more important.
Give me an investigation check as you look around.
Oh God, I love this. Hold on, I can pull up sheets real fast. Give me a second here, Doc. Oh wait. I'm
I
sorry.
have
I have your
0 pips
character.
in investigation.
No, you're okay. Hold on, really fast, baby. I'm looking at your size character sheet. So you don't have anything in investigation, but you're also going to be rolling this against your intelligence.
Intelligence, I have 3.
Okay. So, give me just a quick second to look at one other thing. This sounds like a static challenge, not a oppose. Ryan, quick question for you. Whatever it is you're teeing up for him to see, what would you label this particular difficulty as? An easy, standard, difficult, challenging, or epic?
I'd say pretty easy.
Probably easy. So your difficult rating on this one is going to be a 2. So, Doc, you and I are actually throwing the first chops of the game, which I absolutely love, that are being called by R2. So what we're going to do is go 3, 2, 1, and then you're either doing paper, rocks, or scissors. And you're doing it against me. Now, we learned this on the last recording. If you do it too low and it's out of camera range, we can't see it.
I'll have my hand up here the whole time.
And it works if you do it like sideways in a weird way because you can see it a little bit better. Yep. All right. Are you ready? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, shoot. How do we do? Okay, so we both got scissors. What is your total investigate and intelligence?
3.
It's a 3. Ryan has set this difficulty as a 2. So not only do you... Oh, no. So this is not a critical success. This is just a regular success. So Ryan, he succeeded. Keep going.
Okay. Your first thoughts immediately are to the product, obviously. The rest of this is ultimately just meat. You move to the far side of the warehouse, and there, almost, it seems like it's almost set out as a display in front of your product, which is still on neat shelves. It doesn't look like anything has been done to the product at all. But your primary lieutenant, the person running this operation under Marcus, is on his knees, dead, but still upright, kneeling, with his head turned up. His face is smeared with blood, and you can see that blood stain is just cut by 2 rivulets of tears that ran down his face before he died. You don't see any reason for his death. No bullet hole, no stab wound, but he is dead. And in his lap is a single brick of your product. And I don't know if you... No, that is his handwriting. He wrote on the product, in his own blood, "You are running out of time." And at about that moment, you begin to hear the sirens approaching.
So that changes a few things with Conor there, because as I walk in, the first thoughts are, I clearly hired the wrong men. These men were cowards. Whatever happened here, they couldn't even take out whoever did this. Fucking pathetic. I'll spit on the ground in front of one of them as I'm walking by. But seeing that individual kneeling there with the "you're running out of time," even though no one is there to see it, a flash of fear comes across Connor's face. This idea that the walls are truly closing in, and when those sirens start, I freeze. I'm reaching for that brick to put it back on the shelf. After all, it's still good product. But when I hear those sirens, it drops out of my hand. And maybe it breaks a little bit, spills a little bit of powder onto the ground. But this is my biggest fear. They found me. Something happened here. And all the people that I've relied on to keep me safe have failed me. And I'm going to run towards the back of the warehouse. There's a back door. If I can move fast enough, they'll see my car in the front. They'll know I came in the front. Nobody parks in the front, comes in the back. And I will, as I'm running, loosen my tie just to get that little half second of breathing room. But it is a full out sprint toward the back of this warehouse. If the men are replaceable, the product can be too. This warehouse is compromised, and I can't be here.
And you run. It takes longer than you thought for the blood on your boots to finish rubbing off onto the street as you run.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually it washes away. It all fades. And you make it out.
I keep, if I think I'm safe, I look over my shoulder a little bit. It's New York. Nobody notices a man running in a suit unless there's something happening. And I use that to my advantage, especially in the Bronx, because a suit would stand out up there, especially this time of night. And I'll take off the tie. I will ditch the jacket. And even though it just kills me inside to do, if the walls are closing in, somebody's looking for me. Something happened here. I will go to an unhoused individual on the street. I'll pull out my wallet. I'll give him $100 for his coat. And as he happily takes the money and hands me this filthy, you can't even call it a coat. It's just grime and fabric rubbed together. But I'll slowly take off my jacket and put it on. It doesn't fit well. How could it? That jacket was custom tailored. This is just from some guy on the street, but it's not the smell or the feel of the jacket that just causes my stomach to turn as I put it on. It's that I have to debase myself like this just to get home. Or even try to get home.
And Connor, you are making your way home, and you pass one of those corner boutique electronic stores. You know, the ones that have like the 15 different television monitors that are all stacked on each other, and they're all showing different programming through the glass window. And you're passing through that as you empty under a street lamp, and the stench that is pouring off of this jacket kind of settles in the back of your throat. It settles on the nostrils and your hair. And you pass these 15 television screens, and it feels like the screens are watching you. And in some capacity they are, because you're watching a raid on your home. You are watching law enforcement previous footage from what you're seeing. This isn't a live. These are recaps. You are watching people you don't know flood into your home. You are watching men that are in uniform take your daughter out of this house and put her in the back of a squad car. You are watching news anchors with breaking news about what just happened in the warehouse district. And your phone rings. And you just know this is a phone call you have to answer.
Watching the TVs.
Actually, can we end scene there?
Oh yeah, please do. Please do.
Good? Ryan, are you okay with that
good.
too?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
I think that's good. So, backers, if I can beg Ryan to come back on the show, that phone call from Mr. Prim might be a great backer-only episode. So if I can beg Ryan to come back one day for a 15, 20-minute recording, you guys might get that. If not, we'll see what happens. But I'll beg Ryan to come back.
Please come back.
We love a good flashback, folks.
Oh.
Woo! Everyone still okay?
Oh yeah.
Connor, welcome to Columbus, Ohio. You're no longer a resident of New York. You're now a resident of Columbus, Ohio. A lot of things have changed over the last, what has it been, 3 decades? That feels about right. It's about 30 years ago since you were last in New York.
Yeah.
Since you last had contact, at least face-to-face contact with your daughter. Since the last time you were human.
Yeah.
30 years feels about right. You are a kindred in Columbus, Ohio. You have a sire, Mr. Prim, your maker, your master, and in many ways, I would still argue potentially your owner. And I am phrasing that in particular because I want to tee up an understanding for those who may not understand what it means to be under the accounting of another. And Ryan, explain to us the tradition of accounting. Explain to us what Conor's experience is under your oversight, maybe the word?
Tutelage.
Tutelage. Talk us through the tradition of accounting. Make us understand the experience that Conor is having.
The tradition of accounting covers the basic education of a kindred to prepare them for the reality of their existence, how to take care of themselves, how to feed themselves properly, and how to respect the traditions of the Camarilla. And once that period of education is done, once a kindred is prepared to stand on their own feet, they are presented to the prince of a domain and granted acknowledgement within Camarilla society as their own man, as their own person. And that hasn't happened for Mr. Rowe. He's served for many years and probably expects to serve for many more in this temporary education.
Mr. Prim, just as a point of clarity for your storyteller and for those who are following along with us, what is the average time that an individual spends under the accounting in your opinion?
If a kindred is sharp, capable, uh, learns the traditions, they could see their way through the accounting within a year, perhaps two. If they're exceptional, sooner than that.
And if they're Conor Rowe,
Well, it would be difficult to call Mr. Rowe exceptional.
which would explain why he's been under your tutelage, your accounting, for almost 30 years. I mean, truly, Mr. Prim, that has to be some type of a record in the Camarilla.
Yeah. Mr. Prim is well known for his generosity, his mercy in continuing to grant Mr. Rowe existence. Despite Mr. Rowe's frequent shortcomings, Mr. Prim's endlessly patient.
Endlessly patient. How viscerally unsettling. Just as a final point of clarity, Mr. Prim, as we're educating our audience as they go along this journey with us. So, Mr. Rowe is under your accounting, which means he's a vampire. He's kindred, yes, but he actually is just an extension of you. Walk me through this. His crimes are your crimes. Does he have a life outside of your will? What does this actually mean to be under your accounting?
To be under my accounting is ultimately a simple thing. He's given a taste of the wealth and power and privilege that life as a kindred engenders. And all he has to do in return is follow my instructions. If he follows his orders well, his service is rewarded. Privileges are extended. When he fails to meet expectations, privileges are adjusted.
Privileges are adjusted. Doc, I know that you are learning vampire the same time that I am learning vampire. Do you have a clear understanding of what it means to be under Sir's accounting?
Yes, I do what Sir asks of me, and I do it to the best of my ability. I I just hope one day that he will acknowledge what I've done, but if these last 30 years have been any indication, I don't even know that I believe myself ready.
Mm. That insecurity is constantly affirmed by the way that you are treated amongst the others in the Camarilla. You are, by your blood, Ventru. You are a king. You come from a bloodline that is meant to be followed. You are meant to lead, to rule. But as a member of the accounting, you're less than any other Camarilla citizen because you're not a citizen. You're not even a +1, really. You're a puppy that we're waiting to be let off the leash. But apparently, your sire believes that you have not yet earned that honor. The two of you are
Perhaps
in.
someday he will notice what I've done.
One can hope. It's autumn, I believe. Thinking back to the last recording, I think Tracey said it was autumn. We're gonna go with autumn. Autumn feels good. I think maybe it might have been spring.
Record one for each season.
Insert season. Yeah, Carl, I'll go back and listen to the last recording and remember what the goddamn season was. I think we put it in spring. I think it was spring. I think we were trying to follow the seasons that we're doing now. I'm going to go with spring, and fucker, we can fix it later.
Fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. It's spring in Columbus, Ohio. That means all of the quiet death that has surrounded us for months is now slowly in bloom. The entire city is just abashed with fresh cut grass and budding trees and leaves that are slowly coming up. It also means that we're going to be in flood season every other week for the next month or so, which means campus tends to flood, which means the Olentangy River tends to flood. Water levels are high as we welcome this new season into Columbus, Ohio. The two of you have a prince here in the domain, Prince Stephen Yu. Stephen is very meticulous on how he runs his domain, and one of the things that he's very intentional about is making sure that communications are streamlined amongst all of the kindred in the city. So each of you, and Prince Yu is very intentional about meeting kindred where they are. He doesn't force them to rise to his expectation. He feels that the leadership style is better if he meets people where they are. So there's a mass emergency communication system set up with the 200 or so kindred that live in Columbus. And if this beacon is triggered, if it is pinged, a message goes out to every single one of you, those who live below, those who live above. No matter where you are in the city or even outside of the city, there is a means where this ping can reach you in 2025. I have a quick question it's not really for Conor. Conor, you wouldn't have access to this emergency response because, as I said before, you're something beneath a +1. You are the responsibility of your sire, and you own and have no responsibility of your own. So I'm going to skip you, and I'm going to go to Mr. Prim. Mr. Prim, how is your communication beacon set up? Is this a pager? Is this an app on your phone? Is it an alert on your watch? Stephen, you would have set it up however you would have preferred, but if an emergency response goes out, how are you alerted?
Mr. Prim likes to at least try to keep up with the times. He has a smartphone that he has had people do the necessary work of securing. And he has an application that receives these messages. he doesn't like to be out of contact.
Out of contact is deadly in these nights. Mr. Prim, set the scene for us. Where are the two of you when that app populates on your phone and you receive an emergency summons that has gone out to everyone in the domain?
Earlier in the evening, Mr. Prim had reached out to Conor and informed him that his presence would be required at his office. When Conor arrives, Mr. Prim isn't in his office. He's actually in the foyer in front of his office, pacing.
Conor walks up with, I know not to make eye contact unless invited to do so.
Mr. Rowe, you are late.
Sorry, sir. I came as fast as I could.
I dislike my time being wasted. Mr. Rowe, you know this.
I know, sir. I'm sorry. Please,
Are you?
I tried
What
to
are the
make
requirements of being sorry, Mr. Rowe?
Oof.
I'm gonna throw it out of character. I got nothing. If you have something in mind, we cut that. Like I got nothing on top of my head.
Don't worry, that horrified me too.
You must be apologetic, and you must change your behavior so that this does not happen again. Is this the first time you have been late, Mr. Rowe?
No, sir.
No, it is not. I do not like false apologies, Mr. Rowe.
I'm trying, sir.
Being lied to. Regardless, we can revisit this incident another time. There are other matters of more import. And he goes back to pacing. It seems like he's waiting for something.
Is there something I can help you with, sir?
Stand there.
I'll walk over to where he pointed. Again, my eyes are at the floor. Like seeing where he pointed was a matter of just barely looking up enough to see where he's pointing. And I will. It's not like a rushing walk, but it has this feeling of walking a little bit faster than you'd expect for somebody looking at the floor, trying not to trip, because I can't be late to where I'm told to go.
Once Conor begins to move, Mr. Prim's attention immediately drifts away from him, as if he is of no further concern. It appears that Mr. Prim is highly distracted this evening.
Mr. Prim, the app on your phone populates. Again, you are being summoned to the Edwin Funeral Home. You know this funeral home. It's on 1012 Broad Street, not far off of downtown. This funeral home strikes you as familiar for more colorful reason. They're the first funeral home in the state of Ohio to apply and receive a liquor license. The Edwin Funeral Home hosts an open bar. This is an Elysium. Now, Elysiums and By Night Studios operate a bit differently than what you and I may be typically used to here, Ryan. But due to the fact that Conor and I are still learning Vampire, I am going to articulate exactly what this Elysium looks like for us, at least in the context of this game. Though they are meant to be grand and arcane of the distant past, Elysiums are no longer permanent fixtures. They are designated for an event or a time period or a night, and then they are decommissioned and they can pop up multiple times over the city. Only a prince or a keeper can deem an institution Elysium, and they only have one rule. And that hard rule of Elysium is that no physical violence is permitted. Now, for you, Connor, and this is something that you would have learned very early on in your 30 years of accounting, violating Elysium is violating something sacred. It's punishable by death. You've seen Kindred inflict violence on Elysium only to be met with immediate destruction. These are gathering places where individuals of any walks of path can come and talk and network and be safe. And Mr. Prim, that is where you are being called. But as you look down, this is not Prince Stephen Yu that is calling you. This is your keeper who calls you. This is Keeper Victoria Bouchard of Clan Hakata. Of course, she chose a funeral home for Elysium. She typically does. The Hakata have some curiosities.
Perfect. It all worked then. Excellent. Mr. Rowe,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I look up with just a flash of hope in my eyes.
I'm being summoned to Elysium. I'm going to give you the opportunity to accompany me.
I appreciate the opportunity, sir. Thank you.
You understand the implications of this, yes? You understand the risks involved.
I understand, sir.
You will not embarrass me again.
No, sir.
Good.
Would you like me to drive, sir?
No, I think not. Let's limit risk on this occasion.
Of course.
Come. And Mr. Prim turns and begins to leave, not looking to see if you were following.
I follow behind you, not almost a hair too close, but trying to not seem like I'm following too close. With that sense of, if I take a half step farther back, I'm going to miss the car.
Mm.
And sometimes you have.
But I have. There's a balance, a weighted balance in that walk of, I know that I am not walking with you as an associate,
Right.
but I am also walking close enough that I am still, if somebody were to assume we were walking together, but there is that unspoken extra 8 inches between us that just, that 8 inches that feels like a mile.
When you reach Mr. Prim's car, a black Lincoln Town car, heavily tinted windows, he has his driver is already there. He opens the door for Mr. Prim. You circle the car to get in beside him. Sitting in your passenger seat, there is one of those sort of heavy-duty construction staple guns.
Mhm.
But Mr. Prim grabs it and very kindly moves it out of your way so you can sit.
Thank you, sir. And you can see that moment in Connor's eye that something either just happened or is about to happen, but I know better than to ask.
And
I know better than to ask any questions.
the driver drives off toward the funeral home. On the trip there, Mr. Prim doesn't look over, doesn't try to make eye contact. He seems otherwise mentally occupied, but he does strike up a conversation. Mr. Rowe, before we arrive at Elysium, I want you to when we arrive at Elysium, I want you to remain aware. I want you to listen and hear. Do you understand?
I do, sir.
When we return home, I will have
When you-
questions for you.
When you say home, there is just the slightest wince, because it's not home.
No.
It's It's a place to stay. It gives it to where Connor sleeps. It's not home. And you know it's not home.
Mr. Prim very intentionally uses the word home.
I, I will be sure to pay close attention, sir.
Good.
The
This will
Edwin
be an
funeral.
opportunity for you to show what you have learned.
I won't let you down, sir. Not again.
We will see.
Whew. The Edwin Funeral Home is designed like a 2-story, all white residential house. The aesthetics are very intentional to give it the ideal of being cozy and home like. It has that massive wide porch with the multiple wooden swings. Of course, it has a ramp with the side parking lot and street parking. So there are those commercial fixtures because you know what happens beneath this funeral home. But for the upper 2 levels, the Edwin family has been very intentional of making this look like home. Mr. Prim, your driver parks and you are able to exit into the Edwin Funeral Home parking lot. There are various members of Kindred Society. You've been in Colongas longer than 30 years. Conor has been here 30. These are all familiar faces, even some of the newer Kindred that are here, the older Kindred are here. Columbus boasts about 200 or so within Prince U's domain, and they are all settling in, coming in. But there's that, it's not even discomfort as much as it is that apprehension and that anticipation. Why have you been summoned to this Elysium? Why is the keeper calling for an emergency announcement? And you both know that this isn't going to be good news. You're never brought in on an emergency basis for good news. The beckoning is still a very real threat. Your elders hear those whispers, and within weeks, they disappear, go on to fight some war in the Middle East. You've heard rumors of other things happening around you. Prince Yu is very, very diligent in keeping you informed. Whatever news he has for tonight, it will likely be significant. The two of you enter into the Edwin Funeral Home, and this is set up where you open into that massive foyer that has like the open lobby, and there are various things happening simultaneously. It's a mixture of, as far as aesthetics, it's a mixture of preparations for the funerals that are going to be taking place tomorrow, and also a mixture of like merchant tile type of environment. So you open up, and there's of course the kiosk in front of you that has the open obituary for whatever service is going to start tomorrow at 9. But also there's a display case of what all of the obituaries could look like. To the right, there's another display case of the various types of urns that you could purchase or put your hands on or touch. It's almost like the Scholastic Book Fair of decorative urns. And the back further along, you can see that those mounted coffins are on display. Not full coffins, but like a third of the coffin that has like the hood or the lid open where you can see inside and touch and feel. And then of course in the very back, there's that open bar that is obviously closed for the moment. And then on either side of you are those 2 big, massive gathering spaces, along with office and smaller chambers, a chapel, and things of that nature. But you know that your Keeper Bouchard, is likely going to be hosting, based on the flood of traffic, you guys in the back right area. Kindred are milling around. Looks like you have maybe 10 minutes or so before things get started. I am curious for you, Doc. What room are you and Mr. Prim standing in currently? It can be a room that you make up, or it can be something that I just described.
We would definitely be starting in the foyer,
Okay.
just walking in, taking in the scene. And even though I'm off to the side of Mr. Prim, I am keeping my head down while still taking in the entire scene.
Yeah.
Because clearly we don't get called to Elysium for nothing. There's a flash in my mind of maybe there's a hunt, maybe something has happened, maybe somebody has breached the domain. And as I'm trying to take in this scene, listening as much as I can to hear if there's any code spoken chatter of speculation, there's every now and again I'll steal a glance at Mr. Prim just to see one, actually multiple things. One, to make sure that he is still okay.
Oof. Okay.
I'm looking for, is there anything that this could be a setup, that this could be a trap? I am ready to make sure that if I see something, I can step in. I'm making sure that he's still there.
Yeah.
Because again, if this is a setup, he could be just taking the dog out to the back of the woods to leave it there.
Yeah.
But the one that Conor would never admit, he looks to see if Mr. Prim notices him. Just even that flash of moment of, I'm doing what you asked. Do you see me? But he knows I know I'm never going to get that recognition.
At least not positive.
Of course not.
The few times that you've been brought to gatherings in front of public society, once you walk into that gathering site, you cease being Mr. Rowe to Mr. Prim. You are boy. And Mr. Prim only seems to have taken notice of you in the past when he needs to correct certain indiscretions.
But there's still always hope. There's hope that maybe this time,
someday you'll earn that Mr. Rowe in public.
Oof. Woof.
Maybe.
Mr. Prim, as you're standing there watching Kindred come in, you are met with... I want to talk about what you are met with, Mr. Prim. And one of the ways that we can identify your status in Kindred society is by your position, of course, which you don't hold in this court. You're not a prince, you're not a harpy, you're not the keeper, sheriff, scourge, nothing of that. But that's not the only way that Kindred are recognized for their notoriety, their reputation, or the level of respect that they demand. There's also status. Now, I think I told you this in the pre-show here, Ryan, but By Night Studios doesn't have a max on what your status can be. But I'm putting your prince at a 9. So what do you think, numerically speaking, Mr. Prim's status would be? I need to know that so I understand how my NPCs interact with you.
I think that Mr. Prim operates at about a 6.
A 6 is strong. Okay.
He doesn't make a habit of attending gatherings often at all. He will show up if he has specific business with specific kindred, or if he is called to a general meeting such as this.
Noted. This is good education for you, boy, and something that you would know. The very first status that any kindred receives when they are released from their encounter is acknowledged. This means you are an acknowledged member of the Camarillus. Your first status, it gives you 1. And that's when you know that you're free. That's what you're chasing right now, boy, is your acknowledgement. That is also Mr. Prim's first status, but Mr. Prim has 5 more to carry. Mr. Prim, what is your status up to 6? You are acknowledged, and you are also...
Beyond my acknowledgement, I am recognized as respected.
Respected.
Precise.
Feared.
And feared.
Acknowledged. Respected. Precise. Feared. And feared. Holding 6 status. Conor, I should stop calling you by your name. I'm in the arena with your sire right now. Boy, you would notice that Mr. Prim's status, his presence here, demands a certain level of respect. There's very few kindred, if not maybe but 1, that would have the audacity not to look him directly in the face and greet him as they walk past him. Now, he is feared. He is precise. He is respected. He's many things, but one thing he's not is a common visitor to these events. So you can notice the social temperature around him begin to flourish as people who have heard of Mr. Prim, maybe seeing him for the first time, or those who rightfully fear Mr. Prim may be wanting to discuss the foundation of their fears, but know better than to do so, at least anywhere where he could even potentially sense it. Mr. Prim, you are standing there. The boy is nearby. And running up the ramp, you see a 5'6" black woman, chocolate skin, athletic hair. Her long dark hair is pulled back into like one of the flowing running ponytails. She's in yoga pants, a pair of running shoes, and a crop top OSU sweatshirt, hoodie of some sort. And she has her cell phone in her hand, and she, even though it's 2025 and all cell phones have like earbuds, somehow she has the ones that are still tied to the cord. And she pulls out her earbuds and she looks to you, and you know precisely who this is. This is Nia Glass, who has served as the harpy of the domain for the past 6 years or so. Now, Mr. Prim, I'm going to tell you something that might be a little bit beyond the boy's comprehension, but you're precise. You read people exceptionally well. This woman smiles. She is polite. She is also very precise. But you know a monster. You recognize a monster. You understand a monster when you see one. And that is reciprocated when you engage with Nia Glass. She sees you on the same level that you see her, but her mask is so much stronger. The one thing you know about Harpy Glass, you know that she's La Sombra. And Doc, for us, these are the kindred that know how to manipulate shadows. They're also very dangerous combatants, and they are known for their ruthlessness. Mr. Prim, you see Harpy Glass approaching, and she smiles at you radiantly as that ponytail swings. She's never been afraid of you. If she is afraid of you, she does a spectacular job of hiding it, but you have a reason to fear at least this woman. Nia Glass is a dragon sitting on piles of blackmail, gossip, rumor, and information that if she ever rose from that pile and exposed it, she could topple empires. But only the more well-connected or intelligent of you or wise enough of you know. She smiles at you radiantly. Good evening, Mr. Prim. It's good to see you again. Do you know why we were called in?
Harpy Glass, a pleasure to see you as always. No, I'm afraid that I'm quite unaware as to the nature of this meeting. I'm very interested to see what has taken me away from my business.
Oh, it's something pressing, I'm sure, as she begins to wrap her the cord around her phone and slips it into her pocket. Curious that the keeper called in and not Prince Yu. Have you seen him yet tonight?
I have not. The last I spoke with Prince Yu was 5 nights previous.
She nods, and Mr. Prim, you know that she's puzzle piecing through a Rolodex of all the things that could have happened 5 days ago that would have backtracked into whatever narrative she can form on that information. And you just inherently know that she's probably within the 95 percentile of what that meeting could have been, even if she wasn't aware until this moment that it existed. Huh. Okay. Interesting. May I say hello to your county?
Very well. Boy.
And Connor, I've been standing close enough that you would think it's just out of earshot, but
Yeah.
I was able to make out some of that because I was told to listen.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it look as though I wasn't listening. But you can see, as the name is called, I'd walk over with my head down. Yes, sir.
The harpy wishes to address you. Raise your head.
Good evening.
She waits for you to make eye contact with her, but it's not necessarily predation as much as it is a patience And Connor, there's no reason for you to feel this way, but you do feel it. There's something about this woman that is safe, and you know that you can't trust that.
As I'm raising my head to meet her gaze, with that knowledge, at first it's just raising my head just enough that you can see my face. And after a beat, for the first time since he's walked into Elysium, you see my eyes actually raise up to meet hers. For the first time, they're not looking down. And there's almost that recognition that I feel allowed to do this.
Mm.
It's not that I'm not looking out of respect or because I was told to meet her gaze, but I feel as though that I was given the permission to look her in the face.
Good evening, Connor Rowe. Welcome to Elysium.
As she says his name, he winces a little because I know that when I'm in Elysium, that's not my name. Thank you. I'm honored to have been brought here.
This is your second Elysium appearance, or this your first? I don't actually recall.
It's my third actually. Sarah was kind enough to bring me for a previous meeting.
The second you say, sir, Nia Glass's eyes cut over to you, Mr. Prim, and she very blatantly gives you the, really? We're still doing that? She doesn't say it, but it's just that it's not even that she has the audacity to do it. She almost has the over familiarity to look at you with that face. Like, really? We're still doing this?
Mr. Prim is already wearing the thin, pleased smile that he wears when things are going well enough.
Your third appearance. Understood. Well, under the
Yes.
tutelage of Mr. Prim, I can only assume that you're well versed in the tenets of Elysium, which, at least here in Columbus, are very simple. Do you understand the tenets of Elysium?
I do, yes. There's to be no physical violence here, unless it be lead to the destruction of a kindred. And to preserve the Masquerade at all costs, we must rely on other kindred. We must always believe in each other and trust in each other here. This is a safe place, so I'm told.
She nods and she smiles. She looks pleased. Again, you get that sensation that you're safe. And you also get that sensation that safety is a complete and utter lie. She throws another look towards you, Mr. Prim, and she says, very well. Thank you for allowing me to speak to your accounting. And she's openly teasing you.
Of course, Harpy.
I'm going to go make my rounds and see if I can get some information on why we were called here tonight. A moment of your time after the meeting, please.
For you, Harpy, it would be no trouble at all.
And another quick smile as her eyes look over your shoulder and she sees someone that she needs to chase down about something.
And as soon as she breaks that line of sight, the head is right back down.
Your head is right back down. You immediately drop right back. Fantastic. After a few moments, you all are called into the far chamber on the right. The way that this massive room is set up, it's easily able to accommodate all three of you in those fairly comfortable folding collapsible chairs. There are rows and rows and rows of these chairs with a big center aisle, but of course those stanchions are at the very front. And then there are those big, lush, oversized cushion chairs, and those chairs are meant for officers and those of higher standing, which means Mr. Prim, as soon as you enter, one of Harpy Glass's lesser harpies would recognize you by status and lead you, if you chose, to be beyond the stanchions at the front of this room. There is a empty coffin that is there that has been kind of pushed back, and then there is like the single pedestal where it looks like either the prince or the keeper is going to be addressing the crowd, but people are beginning to file in. Mr. Prim, where do you go and where do you send the boy?
Oh, the boy is directed with a flick of the wrist to stand at the back of the room. And Mr. Prim will follow the lesser harpy and graciously accept the seat that he is offered.
Perfect. That okay with you, boy? You're standing at the back of the room.
Yes. As soon as he raises his hand, I'm immediately trying to predict in a way where his hand is going to point, but knowing that my place is nowhere near the front. I don't get a chair.
No,
I'm not worthy of a chair.
you're not even acknowledged. You're lucky
I
to
don't
be in
deserve
this
a
room.
chair.
As the wrist is flicked and you go to stand at the back of the room, there's a small pocket, a little bouquet of laughter from several kindred who are watching this event happen. That's a pretty common experience for you, boy, especially when you are brought in public by Mr. Prim, because 30 years under the accounting, it's an embarrassment. Actually, it's not even just an embarrassment. This is borderline scandalous. The harpy has an issue scandal. Doesn't seem like she has any intentions of doing so. Maybe Mr. Prim paid her well, or maybe she's choosing to look the other way, or maybe she's justified it. Maybe that doesn't matter because you don't matter. You're standing at the back of the room. Mr. Prim, you are brought to the front. There are one thing that you do immediately notice as officers are filing in. Your seneschal, Carly Miles, who is Banu Hakim, is not here. But you haven't seen Seneschal Miles in 2-3 weeks now. There were whispers that maybe she was beckoned, maybe she's dead, perhaps she was hunted, but Prince Yu has been operating absent of Seneschal for the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's caused a lot of issues as of late. Something else that you immediately notice, you notice that Prince Yu is not here as well. Walking down the center of the aisle, a hush falls over the crowd here. And you see, give me a second to find her description. You see your keeper coming down the center of the aisle. A natural hush falls over the room as Keeper Victoria Bouchard of Clan Hakata begins to walk down the room. This is an intensely fierce presence of a woman. She has fiery red hair that is always tied back and pulled into just like one of those secretary tight breakneck buns with the chopsticks that go through it. She's constantly seen in a black corset, and the pants that she wears under the corset give the appearance of a skirt, but knowing what she is, they're definitely combat ready pants. She moves to the very front of the room, and there's something that Mr. Prim you pick up on pretty immediately. All of the officers and higher status people are seated in those oversized cushy chairs facing the front. Harpy Glass isn't. She's standing at the front of the room with her back towards the wall, watching the crowd. You don't know her well. She doesn't allow that. But you do know her well enough to know that this isn't a power move, it's an information grab. By facing the crowd, she can watch facial responses. She can see who's whispering to who. She's exceptionally good at her job, which means Conor, boy, from the back of the room, at some point while she's making her sweep, you make eye contact with this woman from the other side of the room, and she holds your gaze for a long moment and then offers you a smile before the keeper begins to speak.
I don't return the smile. I just
No, you're
keep
not
my
going to
head
return her
down.
smile?
I know my place. My place is in the back of the room. I am more honored to be here. I'm not welcomed here.
Mm-hmm.
I am merely a dog tied up outside the store.
Whew. That is so painfully accurate. Keeper Bouchard takes to the front of the room, and she turns to face all of you. We have a visitor from abroad with a special announcement. I don't know any other way to say this, so I'll be as transparent as possible. I would prepare your beast for the news that is about to be delivered. Now, I need a group challenge from both of you.
Okay.
We are going to be throwing either your choice, intelligence and wits, combined with either your awareness or investigation. I don't care how you tie it up. Either intelligence or wits, and I need your awareness or investigation. I don't care how you tie it up. You guys ready to throw chops?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go on 3, 2, 1. How'd we do? All right, Conor lost, and Prim, I love this. What is your total?
My total would be 4.
Okay, that is a critical success. So here's what you're gonna be able to get, Mr. Prim. A woman, you see this as well, boy. A petite woman, about 5'4", Caucasian, begins walking down the center aisle. It looks like a death march. The way that she's moving, you can tell that she's carrying an immense amount of trauma. Her veins are blackened through this pale skin, and her eyes are black, hollow pits that look so empty and so soulless. There is something that this woman is carrying on her, in her, about her, that just feels fractured, tortured, and she's carrying just this aura of trauma and loss. The second her foot hits the threshold of this room, both of you, Mr. Prim and Boy, notice that every single clan of the moon, every Malkavian, immediately stands to their feet. It looks involuntary or involuntary. They just immediately rise to their feet. Their expressions go vacant, and their heads turn to follow this woman, this thing, this shell, as it moves down the center aisle. Mr. Prim, with your critical success, you're going to get a few things from me. One, as you are looking around this room, you recognize that something has happened with the Malkavians. They have been activated. Something on the network has their unapologetic attention, and you know at this point they're beyond your reach. This could be a problem. The second thing that you notice, there's only one gangrel in this entire room, and that is Justice. A shorter gangrel? Bruja? There's still some confusion there. You've been meaning to get clarity, but then you remember how little he actually matters. But he's standing in the back of the room. You think he's gangrel, but he's also parading as a Bruja. That's a mixed bag. But there are no other gangrel in this room, and you and your experience know that gangrel are any domain's early warning system. And they're not here. And the next thing you notice that you find curious, there's not a single mage in this room. There's not a single Tremere in this room. I'm going to give you a brief response if you want it, and then I'm going to continue with the narrative.
When the visitor arrives and these things begin to rapidly happen, if Boy is paying attention, he sees Mr. Prim's gaze scan over the crowd intently, like he's retallying, recalculating, and he gives no outward cause, no outward signs of concern, but his eyebrow does arch, and he nods slightly to himself as he comes to some realizations.
This hollow, broken, unnamed thing takes to the center of the stage, and she turns to face you all. And she tells the crowd a story that doesn't make any sense. She tells the crowd an impossible story. She tells you that she is of Clan Tremere. And Conor, you've been learning this over the last 3 decades of life. You know the Tremere are the blood mages, the wizards, the maguses. These are very powerful and feared people. This woman tells a story of the Chantry in Vienna that has fallen. Now, Conor, that may not mean anything to you, but you can tell from the entirety of the shift in the room that this is a monumental event. The Tremere Chantry, the headquarter of Tremere in Vienna, the heart of Clan Tremere, the main stronghold since the 15th century that was erected there, the heart of this clan, the top of the pyramid has fallen. This woman begins the story with, "They didn't come in the day. They came during the night when we were awake." And she begins to recount the story of hunters that raided the chantry. She recounts the story of how the bricks of this castle outside of Vienna began to shake as a great worm beneath the castle writhed, thrashed, and died. And as she continues to speak, the Malkavians in the room begin to wail one after the other. It's a cacophony of screams. And Mr. Prim, you are intimately aware of whatever is happening is these Malkavians have somehow tapped into the story, this event of the Tremere, and they're not screaming as much as they are reliving and re-embodying the screams of the 100 of Tremere that died that night. Both of you are going to wind up taking a single stain. And we're going to go round table around the room once, maybe twice given the time, with either reactions of what's happening here, reactions of what's happening in the crowd, or you can even go back and do recounts of how these deaths happen in Vienna. It doesn't matter. This is open season. It's literally shared collaborative storytelling. Mr. Prim, this is the story that is happening as these Malkavians begin to scream in agony as they die again and again and again. And you understand the implications of what has just happened. Camera's on you.
Unending horror. All of the magical defenses, the layers of concealment and security on the Chantry in Vienna, all dealt with discarded like tissue paper as these mortals, these cattle, rise up against their masters and begin to slaughter them, butchering them in kind as they have been butchered in the past. Scenes of Magus's being shot, torn apart, some explosive device that renders their fortitude, their magical protections null and void, reducing them to useless meat. And despite the Tremere's awareness, despite their being fully awake and they thought prepared for this, there isn't anything they can do to stop what is coming. Many of them beg, many of them plead, try to make a deal, anything. But these hunters aren't interested in bargaining.
Conor, you're listening to this story. You're hearing the screams happening around you. You're watching the discomfort and the fear wash over this crowd of kindred in Columbus, and this nameless thing continues with a confession that she speaks with total vulnerability and helplessness, something that you've heard, something that you suspected, but something that you've never actually heard confirmed out loud. She confirmed that every embraced Tremere was bloodbound up through this tower, up through this chantry in Vienna. She confirms something that has only ever been whispered about. She confirms that at the point that the chantry fell, every Tremere was simultaneously snapped from their blood bond, their loyalty that kept them tower loyal, their allegiance, their focus, their everything. And as this woman tells this story, you can see two red lines of tears run down her face, and just from your distance looking at this woman's face as another Malkavian drops to one knee in a second and barrels over with a harrowing scream, it looks like a perfect sanguine arch of tears that is running down this woman's face. Doc, give us some type of narrative of something that's happening in this room.
As all of this is happening, there's a restraint, but yet there is a tension in the air as all of the kindred present realize what's happened, and that not only has the Chantry fell, but losing that blood bond for all of the Tremere. Some begin to, you can see some Ventru beginning to calculate how they can begin to use this to their advantage. You can see other kindred beginning to calculate how they can try to help the Tremere, because together as a society, we have to stick together. And then from the corner of the room, you see Conor. Boy. He's hesitant. I'm hesitant for a moment. He takes one step toward Mr. Prim, as if to ask, are we going to be okay? And then, realizing and recognizing his place, I step back to my corner and just watch this, what appears to be the threads of society beginning to unravel, knowing that I'm not one of them.
No.
I'm not welcome at that table. This is not something that I can introduce myself to without asking permission.
No.
And I know better than to ask permission at Elysium.
You're an observer, an outsider. You're not one
I'm
of
there
them.
to listen.
But in your listening, you know that you have just heard an eyewitness account of one of the most irrevocable and monumental events to ever occur in Kindred society. The unnamed creature of trauma and despair. She never gives her name, but much like you, boy, her name doesn't matter. The way you have been charged to listen, she has been charged to speak, because these hunters spared 3 Tremere from this chantry and sent them out into the world to tell this story again and again and again. There's a brief incident that I will gloss over mostly because we covered this in the other recording, where a Bruja near Frenzy calls this woman a liar. It doesn't interrupt her story, but by calling her a liar, this Bruja is denying the suffering and the dying of every Malkavian that's happening in this room. And a Malkavian snaps out of this frenzy and attacks this Bruja. She nearly drains them. You almost watch a diablerie happen in real time on Elysium grounds, and you know, even though everything was outside of that Malkavian's control, that she's going to die. Because she violated a precious tenet of Elysium, which means there is no violence. The woman concludes her story. She doesn't have the heart to look at anyone in the room. She throws the keeper a parting glance, and with the same death march that she enters, she leaves. I'm going to give you guys a moment to close up this scene. Things that are happening rapidly in the background. Harpy Glass is going to wind up running quickly to that Justice character in the back. You guys are going to overhear her say something to the effect of, do you know where the Chantry is here in Columbus? He confirms. Maybe he's actually Tremere. Only Tremere should know where that Chantry is. And she says, go. Go see if they're okay. And Mr. Prim, you notice that for the duration of this meeting, she begins giving orders. The Seneschal isn't absent, and Prince Yu still isn't here. You see it coming down a pipeline. The praxis is likely going to be hers within a week. I'll give you two the opportunity to close down this scene.
Mr. Prim looks to the debacle between this Bruja and the Malkavian with a single sneer of distaste. Very gauche. And once the unnamed Tremere finishes her sad, sad story. Mr. Prim gets up, adjusts his suit, and begins to walk to leave. He's seen what he's needed.
As he's walking away, Boy in the corner sees the physical altercation happening, knowing that somebody is going to die by dawn. There is no question about it whatsoever. And there's a moment as he thinks that the only way somebody should die is in honorable combat. This is not honorable.
Mm.
This is... He knows that these are the rules of Elysium. I know that deep down this is what Elysium is. But on a personal level, it hurts to know that somebody is going to die for such an animalistic outburst, for such a barbaric moment, for a simple... I almost want to justify as saying a lapse of judgment. Knowing that somebody has to die, I will just bow my head, and follow Mr. Prim out without saying a single word to anybody. Anybody who even tries to meet my gaze, I don't. It's not my place. I will walk out following Mr. Prim.
Quick question for Doc and Ryan. We are technically at time. There was one other scene that I wanted to do at Mr. Prim's office. Do you guys have 15 minutes to slide it in, or do we need to call it?
We can go.
I can do it. Yeah.
I'm okay as well. We okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
So I like the idea of you guys leaving Elysium and then immediately going back to Mr. Prim's office, because I feel like there's a lot that he can do as far as like, hey, response, what did you hear? What did you learn? Blah, blah, blah. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
We like that? Okay. So this is going to be our... Okay. So this will be our last 15, 20 minutes, guys. And I will do everything I can to kind of stay out of your way. So... Start us off, Ryan, with the door opens to your office, and I would love to know what Mr. Prim's vibe is right now.
Mr. Prim, on the ride home, was silent. Get back to his building, and he just silently leaves the car and heads inside toward his office, where Conor knows he has words for him.
Uh-oh.
I mean, you're not somebody's lapdog for 30 years without being able to read them a little bit.
He opens the double doors into his office. It's a spacious, luxuriously appointed office. So it's dark wood paneling, built-in bookshelves lining the walls, filled with legal books, old mercantile treatises, philosophical works from as many cultures as you could name. And behind his massive wooden desk that looks like it's reminiscent of like the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. Behind that desk, framing Mr. Prim as he sits, is a massive glass-encased, backlit ant farm that you know is one of Mr. Prim's hobbies. It takes up maybe 15 feet of the wall behind him. There's a warm yellow glow behind it, and you can see you've known Mr. Prim for some time. He's used these ants in punishments before when you failed to meet expectations. These are bullet ants from the Amazon. He spared great expense bringing these ants up here, and spares no expense in feeding and maintaining them. Mr. Prim sits, and without much preamble, he fixes his gaze on Conor. Mr. Rowe, I have some questions for you.
Yes, sir.
First, I want you to name all of the ways that you have disappointed me this evening.
I was late, sir. I was late, sir. I followed you too closely walking to the car, and my apology for my lateness was deemed disingenuous. And I'll hesitate for a moment and say, at Elysium, I I, I met the gaze of Harpy Glass. I was not given permission to do so, and there's another hesitation. And upon hearing the news about what had happened, I I stepped out of line, sir.
Very close, Mr. Rowe. Yes, you were late. Yes, you followed me too closely. You hesitated getting into the car and forced me to clear your seat for you. When we arrived at Elysium, there were numerous people that looked at you, and you did not offer any polite greeting.
Mm.
Harpy Glass. Harpy Glass met your eye in the meeting room and smiled, and you did not return that smile.
I was not aware that I was allowed, sir. I was told that my place was in the corner.
In what way do I deny you permission to respect the officers of the city?
You do not let I don't disrespect them, sir. My place was in the corner. I was not
Do you know what would happen
welcome.
to you, Mr. Rowe, if Harpy Glass became upset with me because of your behavior?
It wouldn't be good, sir.
It wouldn't be good. Do you have anything to say for yourself, Mr. Rowe?
My apology for this transgression, sir. Will come with a penance.
It will.
Words alone do not excuse my actions. I will find a way to atone, sir.
Yes, you will find a way to atone. Do you want a task or do you want a penalty?
Oh God.
I'll leave the choice to you. I'm feeling generous this evening.
Thank you, sir. And for a brief minute, you see the wheels turning of knowing that a task historically these last 30 years has always led to a penalty, no matter what.
Mm.
No matter what the task is, Mr. Prim finds something wrong. Even if Conor, even if I think I've done it perfectly, he finds something. And Conor knows, and I know that. And I'll walk up. I'll won't even take that half step closer and just say, I will take a penalty, sir. I do not believe I could complete a task to your satisfaction.
Very well. You can hear the disappointment in Mr. Prim's tone. Over here to the wall.
I'll walk over.
Chin up. And he pushes Mr. Rowe, Conor, up against the wall, pressing his neck into the wood. And then with a quick but deliberate motion, he reaches into Mr. Rowe's mouth and grabs his tongue and staples it to the wall with that stapler from the car. Now, Mr. Rowe, when you interact with the harpy moving forward, for some reason that is entirely lost on me, she takes a shine to you. She pities you. Despite your many failures, you are going to remain cordial and polite. You are going to smile when she graces you with her attention. Do you understand? Stomp once if you understand.
A beat goes by, and you see a single tear just rolling down my cheek
Disgusting.
as my left foot slowly goes up and comes back down in a determined stomp.
Are you a caitiff? Did my blood take true in you when I embraced you? You are a ventru, and you are crying? Weak.
The foot just stomps one more time.
I expect better.
And then, as you're speaking, it stomps down a second time as if to be a deliberate 2 stomps.
At that interruption, he grabs Connor's wrist and puts his hand up next to his tongue and staples it to the wall as well.
Holy shit.
And my eyes just close tightly. And you can see just the force of closing that eye. The tear running is just cut off at the source.
Good. Behave like a king. And Connor feels Mr. Prim's tongue lap up the tear. We don't waste blood in this house, Mr. Rowe.
And there's one determined stomp.
Good. You are going to remain here silently for the next 2 hours.
Stomp.
And he, as if the matter is resolved and there is no further ill feelings to be had, Mr. Prim turns and sits at his desk and makes some phone calls, sees to some business, his many ventures in the Columbus area, and time passes. And he pays no more mind to you than he would any other decoration nailed to his wall.
And Mr. Prim, as time passes, and you can feel that inevitable sleep that calls to you, as you know the sun is soon to rise. You're just a few minutes out now. You'll be forced to sleep. You see an incoming phone call from Nia Glass. You know what that phone call is. There are 3 or 4 of you in the domain where if someone is going to make a move, a play, if someone is going to seize Praxis, they're going to need your support. And you can see that incoming phone call from Nia Glass. And that, friends of the Symphony, is where our show ends for tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and definitely check back next week as we introduce our next kindred in Sanguine Arch. Good night, everyone.